Welcome to the Some Laugh podcast.
It could be like, oh, that was some laugh, or there was just some laughs.
Some laughs.
Well, no promising all laugh.
No, there's going to be some.
It's some laugh.
I keep having nights like that where I think it's an early night just because I'm not absolutely steaming, but it's actually like 2 a.m. by the time I'm back. I'm still not well rested.
As a sensible one, it's 3 a.m. Well, that was the worst one. Like, we were at about 2, wasn't drinking heavily or anything, but then me and Liam went back and we watched Match of the Day in the flat, and then it was like 4 a.m. I'm like, why have I stayed up this late for fucking no reason? Basically.
It's not live sport watching Match of the Day. You can get that in the morning.
I keep doing that of like, I'm going to go home early and be like, I'm in bed by 10. Yeah, that's good. Excellent. And then I'm just scrolling on my phone until half 1 in the morning, like watching cartoons. And
I was in bed by 3:30 being like, look at me, early night.
I know, you'd be actually better just like being
Thanks,
staying out and being more
nice,
sociable. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
It's just so much water now. It looks like it's partly there's going to be some challenge on the podcast.
We got the Ice Bucket Challenge back today. So we're joined this week once again. Stephen Buchanan, unfortunately, still dead from COVID. So
R.I.P.
we're joined this week by guest Garrett Millerick. Hello. And I'm going to say this wrong because I said it wrong.
Don't overthink it.
Celya, AB.
Smashed it.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I've seen that because I was watching when you said Celya on, and I seen you say it, and I was like, I've been saying this wrong.
You absolutely have. You absolutely have.
Celya had to pick me up for it. I felt really bad.
He did about 12 voice notes with like saying it wrong, misspelling it afterwards. My name's right there.
Hespera, man. Yeah, I'm literally looking at it.
You're looking at it
down.
and you go, that's not right actually.
I do have form for being bad with French stuff, right? Because see, when we were in school, right?
That's what you are, by the way. You're French stuff.
I'm
French stuff.
I'm going to say these. I'm the only one wearing headphones. I feel very.
No,
Keep them on,
Yeah,
man.
you-
Someone's got to have an eye on there.
Sorry, you can hear everybody beautifully.
I think you're a dweeb.
Probably.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Bang on. We don't know each other that well. We've come in straight in there.
What we like to do is put people together, and bash them. It's like the Hadron Collider here. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, I bet we'll have some fiery banter.
Oh, it's a podcast. These people wouldn't be watching if there wasn't going to be fiery banter.
I can't wait to have some fiery banter with you.
Yeah. We're going to tell it like it is.
This is the funny thing with now that, because usually like me, him and Steve will do it and maybe we'll have a guest, but up to the Fringe it's just been like a pal of ours, but now we're like getting people in and there's no real booking policy. Like these people could fucking hate each other for all we know. Thrusting people together, and I feel
Oh my god, I hope Garrett and Celya don't have any history here.
we got serious beef. Running in the first week of the Fringe.
I haven't seen you since court.
Yeah, well, like, absolutely. It's those unpleasant comments about that chortle piece. That
I think that'd be a good idea for a podcast to get two people who've been like arguing with each other on Twitter and sit them down.
Oh, that's
and have a
great.
conversation.
Does that exist? That's quite good.
I think honestly, I might just actually cut this bit out because it's such a good idea for a podcast. That,
well, literally, we could find two people arguing on Twitter right now, and they're probably within a 5-minute walk of this venue.
Yeah, this is like the centre of the earth for people arguing.
Absolutely.
But most people who argue on Twitter in real life, they're little shy boys and girls, aren't they?
Yes,
absolutely.
Like, me.
people writing checks their fists can't cash.
I've always found that though, like people that are the most vocal on Twitter and sometimes you don't meet them for ages and you meet them in real life and it's such like it's like pure not letdown, but like they just don't. They've not got much about them, and you go, "Oh my god, this person has like created this entire persona for themselves," and then you just realise, they're not even worth fucking bothering me. Do you know what I mean?
I just find those people so exhausting when you see them online, and then you like meet them at a gig or something, and they're really nice. And it's like I just haven't I know this is like the first time face to face or whatever, but. I've seen you comment on absolutely everything for 2 years, and I'm sorry, I just think you're an absolute cunt.
Thanks for coming on anyway.
Yeah, no worries,
But anyway, so I'm bad with French shit, right? To the point where, see, now when in school we would get like French lessons, and back in the day, I'm sure they don't do this now, they've got some more modern method of it, but like they would have the kind of like wee tape recorders and you would do your, the oral exam or whatever. So my wee cousin told me that in their class, the teacher played a bad example of a French accent, and it was mine.
It was you.
And there's no
great.
anonymity.
J'habite à Glasgow.
Yeah, and
I
literally
think-
the first thing you say is your name's like Je m'appelle Marc Jennings, and then fucking everyone knows it's me.
I think you just sounded like you were from Montreal or Quebec.
I mean, I was doing
Which
a
is where
better
you-
accent than I ever tried.
I think it's mad. Every time I hang out with Fern, I think we look at each other and it's like, how mad is it that we understand each other?
It's like when you see like a goat and a monkey hanging out. Or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
what have they got in common?
It's like the smallest like Venn diagram of like
He's starting
me and
beef here. Who's the goat and who's the mouse?
I could feel problems with that analogy as soon as it was coming out of my mouth. I was like, I hope they don't comment
Let's get
on
to
this.
the bottom of it, actually, Stuart.
I also like the one thing I remember from learning French in school, right, was they were teaching us just certain phrases, and one was, and I'm going to say this wrong as well, it was c'est m'est égal, right?
C'est m'est égal.
Which apparently they said means it's all one to me, right? So I'm probably saying
Ça
it
m'est
wrong.
égal.
Yes, right.
That's
so,
a great phrase.
but the only reason I
Yeah.
remember it, right, is because there was a boy in my class that he had a limp and all that, and so he would get out like 5 minutes early every class to
Sorry,
go.
is that the medical diagnosis? You had a limp and all that.
He had a limp, he had a limp and all that.
All,
Yeah,
all,
they-
and all
that-
that comes with it.
We didn't want to go into what the rest of the stuff was, right?
And
But
all
he
those who sell.
had a limp and all that. So basically they had to let him out 5 minutes early, and I remember he just like was leaving the class when we were still in. He was just going, "C'est m'est égal, c'est m'est égal." And then years later, my mate Charlie, who's from Paris, I said to him, I was like, "Do you ever like say like c'est m'est égal?" And he goes, "No." And I was like, "Oh man, that's the only thing I know." And he's like, "Well, do you ever say it's all one to me?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "No, I guess not."
No, I think ça m'est égal. That my mom would say that.
Right?
Maybe she was in your class. I think.
But she got a limp.
I haven't seen her in a while. She might do. You never know. You have to check in with friends. Have you got a limp now? Just updating the files. I've been listening to a band from Glasgow actually,
Oh, aye.
and Arab Strap,
Oh yeah,
and I don't understand half of it. but
spoken word basically
yeah,
as well.
I'm loving the vibes of it though. Sometimes
Oh,
I go, no.
Stu's a muso here. I don't know anything about them, to be honest.
Yeah,
So.
you could learn a lot about your own culture from listening to
Yeah.
Arab Strap.
There's a song called "The First Weekend of the Summer." It's the first, and it's like it's all Glaswegian, and then once in a while I pick up a word.
Right.
I'll really pat myself on the back.
That's good. I like people to know about like Scottish culture and stuff, and like I used to have a bit of, I was talking about like, because we always say like hings, so it's more a Glasgow thing to be honest, but it's big. I was really annoyed because like in all
As
these
in things.
yeah, in all these grime songs, everybody started saying ting, and I was like, if they can make everybody say that, I want people to know about the Scottish version.
So you're going to start a Scottish grime act just so you can...
Well, you need a backup plan. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the Fringe is dying. I think the grime festival needs to be...
Oh God, loads of Oxbridge kids doing grime.
Doesn't bear thinking about really, does it?
Oh, I hate that.
Is there enough
would
of
be
them?
funnier than
just
a lot of
festival
things.
already?
I'd rather see Oxbridge kids doing grime than I would anyone doing improv.
Do you remember? I was talking to a friend the other day. Do you remember how in 2008, between 2008 and 2011, all of YouTube was rap parodies? And I'm so glad it ended, but like my whole my entire
TikTok's going to become 40-minute videos about engineering projects in a couple of years' time. That's-
I just remember that there was a period of my life when the whole documents in my brain between 2008 2011 is like a white American guy just changing the lyrics slightly to
That is
a
true.
famous
That's
rapper.
Like Weird Al White and Nerdy.
Yeah, it'd be like in the book club or something. Like it'd be like
Do you know what's been coming up in my algorithm a lot lately? Was it's like 50 Cent but medieval, and like Dr. Dre, and it's like makes it sound like medieval, but it's just these songs. It's like as if like it just makes you think like people could have been listening to this in like the fucking 1500s or something, but it's
Yeah.
like, you know, fucking
I'd
Dr.
click on
Dre,
that.
Still Dre or some shit. It's,
like Gregorian chants and that sort of thing.
it sounds fucking class.
when I go on YouTube, my algorithm is messed up because I really like watching relaxing videos of someone making something. So like,
Yeah.
it'd be like a guy like making. So he'll take an old bike and he'll fix it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I
but
like
like-
guys fixing up tables.
Yeah.
Mending old electronics. There's a channel with a guy who fixes 1970s 8-track tapes because the rubber perishes in them and stuff.
Yeah.
I could watch that shit for
Me
hours.
too. Like every time I go to click on it, it's like 51 minutes. I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. I guess
You watch the whole thing?
just to 48 minutes. I'm like, I guess it's my favorite film.
It's like, so I found this table on the side of the road and it was looking a bit tired.
Yeah.
We can fix this right up. And then just going first to take a number 1 grade sandpaper and you just watch him do the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
fine.
sandblasting. Yeah. Oh my god. Have you ever seen a video of someone sandblasting? It's the most beautiful thing on earth.
It's really good, yeah.
It's a big
I feel
machine.
like there's an algorithm dividing the table here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you watch? What's your algorithm?
No one's ever happy with their algorithm, are they? Because you're like, if someone's round and like my PlayStation's on, I'll just ignore all that. Like, but that is actually a truer reflection of who I am. Than
Oh,
I'm
YouTube
willing
knows
to
you in a
admit.
way your parents don't.
Exactly. Yeah. I am only interested in Gary Neville and fried chicken, as it turns out. I wish there was more going on, but that is it.
But like sometimes your algorithm will like, it'll like try stuff on you. It'll like try new bits. Like,
Yeah.
I had an Instagram ad for BMW. Like, who do you think I am? I'm a comedian at the Fringe. I'm not.
The advert thing is really weird. So my algorithm has been drastically changed since I had a daughter. So mine is people fixing up vintage furniture, vintage electronics, engineering projects, cooking, and Sesame Street. So you just go in there, but you put Sesame Street on like a compilation of Elmo songs, and like every 4 minutes it will show you a video for doing up your kitchen, like the new country kitchens thing, and it's the same video every single day, and they keep showing it, and there is no way of me telling, or maybe they'll pick it up on the podcast. I had my kitchen done about 18 months ago. I have no plans to do it again for about 8 years, so please show me something else.
Isn't it mad that would like probably get into your brain at one point, and then you don't know if you want another kid?
I don't want
if it's the
another kitchen.
algorithm.
Yeah,
I guess we're saying some important stuff today, guys.
we're really getting it done. But
Watch out, Apple.
that is the fun thing about advertising on the internet, though, because on TV they'll be like, okay, you get all the different adverts, every 20 minutes or whatever. But the internet are just like, well, for this month you've got these 4. And we're going to punch you in the face with these 4 until you buy this or do this. And it's usually for, poor comics. They're like, going, do you want a BMW, a new electric drive BMW? And it's like,
I do like it when I see like the algorithm suggests it. Like when I used to be having like no money. Not that I'm a millionaire now, but I used to get the algorithm pumping stuff at me, being like, buy this, and I'm like, I can't.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it when they get me wrong, definitely. Like I keep getting pizza ovens on Instagram. Like, I like pizza, sure, but I ain't getting it. My kitchen is like as small as this fucking table, like, in what world am I getting pizza?
You live in Edinburgh, right?
I live in Glasgow normally.
Right, okay, yeah. But
It's
Scottish, your attitude to kitchens and toilets is remarkable. You'll go into a Scottish flat and you can hold a barn dance in the hallway, and then you go into the kitchen, it's smaller than an aeroplane
so
toilet.
funny.
Yeah,
You're just
Edinburgh
like,
flats in particular, I think, are nuts for that. Like,
Absolutely
it'll be,
ridiculous.
enormous.
It's a
hall.
7-bedroom flat that you're all sharing with
And
a
then-
kitchen half the size of this.
Yeah, and there'll be like the toilet will be in like one cupboard, and then you've got to cross the hall to wash your hands. What the fuck is that?
That's insane. I know.
I've only ever seen that in Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh, I know.
But apparently, the guys, when they made Shallow Grave and they took it over to the Cannes Film Festival, the general reaction from the international buyers were the flat that they lived in was incredibly unrealistic because it's huge, and they were like, oh no, all flats in Edinburgh are like that, and people were like, really? It was like, yeah, there's huge big hallways with big
It's
rooms
the same
coming
with
off.
Paris restaurants. Like, you'll be in the most beautiful restaurant in Paris, and then you have to like go down about 200 meters down to go to the toilets when no one can hear you scream.
I'd be quite up for that actually, because it's not really screaming that I'm worried of hearing. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm happy with
I like
it.
that attitude that the French take their food seriously and their enjoyment of the evening seriously. It's like, we've got to go to the toilet. Go far
But like
away
it
from
makes
everybody.
sense when you think about it, because you don't want to like it too much. And then you like go to the toilet, you realize the vibes in the toilet are amazing.
Is that the
Before
problem
you
you're
know
having
it.
with the Edinburgh restaurants?
Yeah.
You're coming in here going, well, the toilet's just too good.
I'm missing my show most days. I'm just the vibes are incredible. Like I used to I realized that I have a bias towards, if I go to a restaurant, it's how much I like the food and how flattering the mirrors are in the toilet.
Right, okay.
These two things. Because it makes you feel good, and then you go into the dinner, you have a lovely time. I've had like 6 out of 10 food, but 10 out of 10 lighting.
There you go. So if anybody's thinking of starting a restaurant, do get those toilets right.
Make the vibes good in the toilet.
Look at the opposite of a changing room. Where
Yeah.
You feel shit about yourself 'cause
Oh.
it's too stark and everything.
Also, the lyrics in like the songs in those changing rooms are too earnest. Like when you're like, not changing room, when you're like what's that called?
You
when
get music in the toilet.
When you
some
buy-
Arab strats in the toilet.
It's a different world. We just get piss on the floor.
I guess I'm sophisticated.
Are you from Paris? Or,
Yeah, the outskirts, the about to speak French, the banlieue.
Sorry.
What is
I'm
that?
going to really,
Say it back, Mark.
Suburbs, that's
I'm really racking my brains for like, you know, standard grade fucking French. here.
Contents of your pencil case of it to come out.
But like, because you must have a very high standard then for like coffee shops and stuff like that. Is it not quite a drag when you
No,
then
'cause
go
I'm-
to Birmingham or whatever? And you're like,
I'm
this
from
is
like
shite.
I'm from the trash bit of France. So I'm like, have you seen the film La Haine?
Yes.
Have you?
No.
Oh, try a bit of culture, mate.
Seen Shallow Grey.
This
so I
is
feel
why
pretty
we've got you
proud of
on. We'll try to learn.
So I'm from the.
Are you just slightly too young? Are you slightly younger than us? Because
I'm. How old are you?
but you're French. I mean,
Oh yeah, that was like 10
That
years.
was-
Yeah.
in
That
the,
is 10 years.
in the 90s, in the late 90s here, like everyone had to see.
And also the-
it's like that and Kids were the two independent films that you had.
And
to
also
see.
the 90s happened in the 2000 in France because of delay.
But you didn't get your own film. For
No, I
like
remember
10
my
more
dad
years.
being like,
Have you seen Amelie yet? It's brilliant.
oh, I can't wait. I'm going to see it in 4DX.
Just flicking bits of baguette. At you.
Yeah. No, I'm from the. It's like a rough bit. So it basically is like Croydon,
Right.
like Croydon of France.
Paris hasn't Croydon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Croydon?
we don't need to know this.
Is that how you say it in through Croydon?
Yeah, but I remember.
Is it twinned with? Do you get that little sign?
Oh, it's like it's not like it's not great. But when I remember we would go into Paris, it would take about 35 minutes on the train, and we didn't have that much money growing up. So for the longest time, all I did in Paris was just walking around, and I would tell everyone it's fucking boring in Paris. There's nothing to do. Went back with a bit of money recently. It's pretty great. it's a great.
You're not a fan
place.
of architecture then, because it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Yeah, but once you've seen an old building, you've seen them all, haven't you?
No, you would not like my YouTube algorithm. I really like old buildings.
No, but like when you're 12 and you're like, you don't care about old buildings. You just want.
Oh, I
Do you
was.
know what I mean?
You know, when we kicked off by saying I'm a nerd, like that was the thing when I went to
Are you a
London.
little dweeb?
I was just like, the buildings.
Oh,
Yeah.
where do you live, Gareth?
I live in. See, I've just been mocking Croydon. I live in Essex. I live in Chelmsford in Essex.
I've been to Chelmsford. Did you?
I'm very sorry about that.
Oh, so
It's very much the kind of middle England. There's kind of over the last 25 years, everywhere in England has just sort of changed into exactly the same place. So it's not a city, it's not a village, it's just that in the middle.
So liminal space.
It is indeed that, yeah. And it's so we were living in London and then wanted to buy a house. So you have to kind of move.
Get the hell out. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to get. We got a miserable little breeding box in the suburbs. So yeah, but that's where my wife's from. So it's not technically my fault. So
That's on her.
we moved there so that when I do things like go to Edinburgh for an entire month and she's left at home with the baby, that she's got people there who can help.
That's nice.
It is nice, yes. I owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
Picking your words carefully here, Garrett.
Yeah. So I can, be here in Edinburgh doing podcasts and that sort of
And
thing.
sleeping with other women.
Where'd you rather be?
I've always
I'm
liked
starting
Essex.
rumours. I just thought I'd start from rumours. Is that okay?
That's
On a
fine, man.
podcast.
I feel like it's literally just your accent, Celya, but when you were talking about what shithole you're from, it still sounded nice to me.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I know. It's,
Then we get the
that's a
train
big
into
problem.
Paris. It's like,
You can only sound so sort of harsh.
It's such a big problem. That it's too lovely. This.
Do you know
so
what?
you can't do the thing in Edinburgh of going out and making the first 5 minutes of the show. Oh, my old man's a dustman.
I mean, I do a sad dance.
Yeah.
No, I think it is a bit annoying because I think, do you know how some people complain that they sound working class and it doesn't help them getting jobs?
Sure.
I've got the opposite, where like I sound too lovely,
And then,
I can't get seen as working class because this is too nice.
So you're French scum, basically, but
I'm
you're...
from
Plain clothes. Scum.
yeah.
this is the European scum are just such a higher grade than ours.
Yeah.
We just can't
Still
take it
exotic.
seriously. It's
Yeah.
like, you've got all your teeth.
Do
See
you know
you
when I
weeing
noticed
at a
it?
bus stop.
We were chatting the other night. I won't be able to do the accent at all, so forgive me, please. I know I put your name
Please
wrong 100
try.
times, but
Please do
It was-
try though.
when you
See, Scottish people, I'm surprised we've done this so much because I know I fucking hate when it comes to the Scottish accent. So
but I'll let you
don't worry, don't worry.
apologise.
I'm saving it.
I'd like to hear yours actually.
We were talking and you said Rage Against the Machine, and in your voice it sounded so just lovely. Like, what a lovely band Rage Against the Machine must be, you know?
Do you know, two people were in my show yesterday, and I was like, how did you end up coming? They says, oh well, we were up here to go to a Rage Against the Machine concert, and they cancelled, and so they came to me instead.
I was meant to go to that.
Turns out I'm pretty much the Rage Against the Machine of comedy.
Scottish comedy.
My whole Fringe revolved around me seeing Rage Against the Machine. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? It
does.
On
I've seen
24th.
Rage Against the Machine, and it sounds a lot nicer when you're saying that it is actually watching Rage Against the Machine.
So they cancelled 2 weeks ago because of illness, and I was like, I'm not doing the rest of the run. I can't do it. Like, what's the point? I'm seeing Lucy Dacus today, and I'm like,
They rage against the
nice.
machine, but conventional
and
viruses
also,
will stop them.
I heard they replaced Rage Against the Machine with the 1975, which is so funny.
That's
Yeah,
like
that's-
when Tesco replaces your shower gel with like coffee or something. I'm gonna wash my hair with it.
We've replaced Limb Biscuits with Little Mix. But yeah, I'm really annoyed that I didn't get to see them because they would have been such a great thing to do at the end of the Fringe.
Yeah.
Absolutely, aye.
Or in the 1975, I was at Reading Festival years ago, and they had an advert for their new album on the screens, and the advert was, I don't know, about like 30 to 40 seconds long, and whoever was the headliner was late setting up, so this advert was like an HMV advert, and it just looped. And there were 30,000 people just standing there. And by the time the headliners come on, like, we will never listen to 1975. Just fucking raging this 40-second thing that had just been going around for about half an hour. And everyone was just like, if I ever meet that band, I'll fucking kill them. So consequently, I have never listened to a 1975.
That's the pettiness of the British public.
Oh,
I've been
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
I had
shove
this
it
similar
down your
thing. I used to work in Asda, and like at Christmas, they would always just have like the books and stuff that were advertising on repeat on Asda FM, and it was Alan Sugar. What you see is what you get, and it's like every fucking 5 minutes that fucking advert for his book, and I was like, I hate this guy so much. I'm never reading this book, and if I ever see him, I'm gonna punch him in the fucking face.
That's why I haven't seen Game of Thrones yet, because there was 2 years where everyone was like, you need to watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, I'm an independent woman. I'll decide when I'll watch
I'm
Game of
exactly the
Thrones.
same. I've not seen Game of Thrones for that reason, and I only managed to watch The Wire during the pandemic because that was when I could stay long enough away from people for a long enough period of time to not accidentally say I was watching The Wire and people go, "Oh God, what series you were like? This is the best series." I'll stop ruining it.
Yeah.
Just be quiet. I'll watch it and then I'll form my own view, and then we can all have a conversation.
Yeah.
Just dial it down.
And also, like, it's Game of Thrones is tiring because you start, like, every time I start watching, it's like, oh my God, you have to wait till you get to episodes. And it's like, give me a minute.
Yeah.
I've got stuff on. I'm
Also,
not going to finish it.
I can't stand that attitude generally. Like when Harry Potter was really big, I was at university, and I think there were four books at that time, and so people were like, "Oh, it's so good." So I was like, "Okay." So I read the first one and was like, "It's not very good, is it? It's a kid's story about a wizard." And then they were like, "No," but like they get so good. So then I read the second one. I was like, "It's still a kid's story about a wizard."
Kind of more of the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still about this wizard.
Yeah, it's they're still at school. This is not. And then they were like, no. But the third one, I was like, no. That's 4 afternoons of my life. I'm not getting back. And if you haven't got me by the end of the second book, I'm out. Also, I went to boarding school, so I found the whole like Harry Potter. Like I hated J.K. Rowling a long time before it was fashionable.
Such a good guy.
Oh yeah, I can't stand her, but not for any of like noble reasons now. It's just like I grew up in an environment like that, and the kind of fetishization of it in those books is really objectionable. And they're like, oh, Harry Potter is about the outsiders. And you go, it very isn't. Like it very isn't. Like how did Harry get into Hogwarts? Because his dad went there. Is that all right? The whole thing is about an elite group of people who are just like elite because they're born into this elite, and everybody else, and they've got slur words for people who aren't in their elite. They call them like muggles, and like that is such an Etonian public school thing, and it's a huge justification of class systems that we're just pumping into children. And people go, oh, it's so great, and they go, actually all of the ideas it's based on are really not cool.
Yeah.
And then they managed to kind of twist it around, going, yeah, it's for the outsiders, it's for this. You go, no. It's also incredibly well observed. Like at all, like my boarding school, we had 4 boarding houses. There was a Slytherin Like there was
Why?
all the kids like that were in the house called Norris. Fitzallen was like the Hufflepuff. Like they naturally, boarding houses at schools like that, they do break off into those groups, and it's really well observed, right down to things like Muggle. Like there were, I think there was a comprehensive school up the road from our school, and people in Slytherin used to call the people who went there langers, because it was, and it's like, so it's really well,
insane.
yeah, it's really well observed, and it's like kids were consuming this. I did a lot about this in my show in 2016, like people going down to King's Cross in the thing, and they've got the platform 9.5, and it's like, cool. You've got a tourist attraction where children are queuing up for like an hour and a half to pay to have their photograph taken next to a brick wall that they will never be on the other side of. Like, what an amazing metaphor for the glass ceiling.
Absolutely.
It's fucking wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so now everyone's like, oh, it's questionable. It's like, it's always been questionable. It's like you kind of have those things like, oh, we really don't like the Bullingdon Club and Boris and all that sort of stuff, and people are getting to it. And at the same time, they're like, my favorite book is this. It's like, none of the things you think join up in your head. You need to sit down and line things up a little bit.
Absolutely, and that's because everybody's so fond of going, the Tories, they're Slytherin, and it's like, well, if you're fucking in any of them, you're a bunch of posh wankers.
Yeah, it's a really strange thing. Like you can find it in Edinburgh bars and things, but I really didn't take well to that sort of thing as a teenager, and it was all kind of like people going to the Henley Regatta and things like that, and I never really liked it. And then I find it really odd with people going like, it's terrible, and you go, I completely agree, the whole old school Tie Network and everything, it's vile. And then you come up to here where people are like, ooh, Jeremy Corbyn, blah blah, but then they have an ability, like they'll set one up if they go into a room. These power dynamics that people go are awful. There's something about British people, I don't know how you feel about it coming in as an outsider looking at it, but British people are very uncomfortable when they encounter an environment that doesn't have a class system, to the point that they will construct one within an evening.
Yeah,
True and mad.
Like throwing up a tent in a camping space. They will walk into a room, and if it doesn't have a class structure, they're like, we need to build one.
Well, I think that the Harry Potter, it reflects on, I think British people have an obsession with class, but they say they hate the upper class, but they actually love them.
Yeah.
You look at like
the Jubilee.
You look at like Love Actually. The obsession with like watching a prime minister, like he doesn't get any work done in that film.
See if I was
he's just having an affair.
See if I was Prime Minister, I'd be getting a taxi to Wandsworth all the time to meet some bird and all that shit.
I think the thing with that is British people were watching that film going, it's an idyllic world where we could say it would have been a lot better for the British people over the last 20 years if our Prime Minister had just been getting a taxi down to Wandsworth and not fucking things up. It would just be better like, you leave all that alone and go down to Wandsworth.
You'd had no time for Iraq or anything.
When you watch Love Actually, it feels like they forgot to write the bit of the work description of being a prime minister, because it's like plot, and then he's just in the thing like
dancing about.
I guess I'm a prime minister.
Did you ever watch Monkey Dust? It was a really, really good animated sketch thing on it. Like the very early days of BBC Three, but they had a sketch called Richard Curtis Land. But there's like Hugh Grant figure, and somebody would come in, and this guy goes, yeah, because I'm just incredibly wealthy despite having no visible source of income. And they just had fences on it outside with like asylum seekers being shot in the head while Hugh Grant's like standing there like having wine going, God, do you want to come to my inexplicably big London pad? with my, I've got a mad flatmate. It's really good. It will be on YouTube. Chuck it in. Your algorithm will start throwing more.
You sponsored?
That's good.
Is it sponsored?
Are you sponsored?
Am I sponsored? But no, I just liked it. Yeah, it was back in the days when I wasn't working 5 nights a week to watch television.
Which boarding school did you go to?
I wouldn't like to say because I've just been very unpleasant
Eton?
about it. No, I did not go to Eton.
So you boarding school and then uni. When did you start stand up then, Garrett?
I started stand up pretty late actually. I was 28, 29.
Aye.
How old are you?
I'm 39.
39, so that's 10 years.
Yes.
Well done.
Well done.
Don't need to go to boarding school.
French education system batting 1,000 there.
These years.
Figured that out. Figured that out like that.
So what was the decision to start for you then?
Oh, that actually happened up here because I didn't want to be a stand-up comedian. That wasn't what I was going for. I really wanted to be a theatre and director and wanted to write films. Sure. So I used to come to Edinburgh every year to do plays. So I was one of those student drama guys at C venues. That's who I was. Being like, I don't know why everyone's so obsessed with stand-up. It's so basic.
Black turtleneck on.
Yeah, come and see our play. Oh yeah. And I was full like brown corduroy jacket, cigarette clamped to my mouth, 24/7 with like views about theatre, and then
I hate those guys.
Yeah. You were absolutely bang on. Unpleasant little public school pricks. So yeah, I came up here. This was 2010. I came up here and I was kind of running away from a relationship that was falling apart, and I had done like 2 years of directing documentaries about ballroom dancing, and I was directing hip-hop music videos for city traders who were finding new and interesting ways to spend their bonuses.
And you were watching it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So yeah, real shit.
I'm your biggest fan.
I know. That was just pre-financial crash, where those guys were like drowning in money, and they were all like writing hip-hop albums about like being the dons of the financial markets, and then paying people to make music videos for them.
Is that when the writing was on the wall? You're like, oh, this is going to...
Yeah, so I woke up in a hotel room on my 27th birthday in Birmingham, and I had a bit of a breakdown, going like, I don't like anything about my life. And I came up here. I saw someone had advertised an indie director for a play on one of the websites where people look for things like. So I was like, yeah, I can do it. So I came up here for like 2 weeks, and Stuart Lee was doing his. He was doing a 25th anniversary gig at the Festival Hall, where he had a big like mixed bill thing on, and he was launching his book. And I bought a copy of his book, and I was just in that coffee shop just around the corner from the stand, and I was reading it. There was a whole section in it at the beginning where he was talking about the frustrations of commercial theatre. And you have to get money, and you have to get people, and you have to mobilize these things. And I just had like years of writing funding applications and trying to get these things and kind of hitting in a brick wall. And there was a line in it where he said, with stand-up, it's just you and a microphone, and the possibilities are endless. And I was like, I'm going to give that a go. So I went home, and then I didn't really know how to do it. So I called a friend of mine from university who she had just come out of drama school and was similarly frustrated with things. And we just booked 2 nights for an hour for ourselves at the Hen and Chickens in Islington, because we didn't really know any better. Yeah. And like wrote an hour show where it was like a third solo each, and then a third as a double act. And I went out, and I think on the first night we were getting a really good response, and I had this feeling. I was like, oh, if I can do this and like get a direct thing from an audience, like I'll be okay, and I'll stop being upset about things. I'll stop being depressed and frustrated. It's like, I'll have this thing. Little did I know, it was just another. Another way to get upset and depressed. And then that started going better than anything else. And then I sort of the last time I directed a play was 9 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's cool, man. Yeah. What about you, Celya?
Same. No, I've always loved stand-up. I used to watch it a lot when I was a teenager, but I didn't think I'd do it. I used to write jokes for myself on my phone.
Do you not do that anymore? Do you pay someone?
Yeah. Nice to see you again, Gareth. But I didn't think I'd do it, and then I was in Birmingham. Oh, weirdly, Birmingham again.
Birmingham is the...
How did you end up in Birmingham?
Birmingham's like the rock bottom that forces people into a career in the arts.
A portal? Is that?
Walk around Birmingham and go, there must be something more to life.
Yeah. So I was 19 years old, and I wanted to live in England. So basically I wanted to study film. That's funny, isn't it? So much in common, Gareth.
There we go.
I wanted to study film, but we didn't have that much money. So I was on my 19th birthday. My cousin she used to date this guy whose family lived in Birmingham, but he was French. And my 19th birthday present was hey, do you want to go to Birmingham for like 3 weeks? They'll put you up and you can look after the kids. That was my birthday present. Was a room in a council estate in Birmingham for 3 weeks.
To be an au pair for
Being
3
an au
weeks.
pair, yeah. And then after 3 weeks, I got kicked out because I didn't want to look after the kids because I was 19. And then I was there for 2 years, like in Birmingham, and then met a few comics. Realized that I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And it was like, they were successful, but I didn't know. So I thought they were like open micers, and I was still like, what? You're talking to people? That's insane. And then went back to Paris for a week, and I saw stand-up for the first time. It was 2 shows in one night, and I saw the first show, and I was like, I'm going to stay for the second one. And then I saw him do the same set. And I was like, you fucking cheat. And I was like, I was so annoyed. And then came back, was like, I think I'm going to do stand-up. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. I just split up with somebody. And then I was really hungover one day. I was in a Costa Coffee, not sponsored.
We've got
And my
Starbucks
friend-
here, so you were balancing out.
And my friend, might as well, isn't it? And I bumped into a friend of mine who was a stand-up who said, what you doing? I was like, I'm just writing jokes. I'm getting ready for my first stand-up gig. She said, have you booked one? I said, no. And she said, all right. She books a gig. She was like, in 3 days, I've got a gig on. Can you come up and do 5 minutes? And then I didn't sleep for 3 days.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to have to... Like, it was weird to me doing stand-up in another language. I was like, this is mad. And I went on stage with a glass of red wine like it was my HBO special.
Literally
just
like
like-
Marcel Lecomte.
Like, yeah, don't even like red wine, but I was like, I guess I've got to have a drink.
Everyone needs a thing.
That's like me going on stage with a bottle of Iron Brew. It's like,
Yeah.
you're a character act.
So like, I remember the day of the gig, I walked past a queue at DO2 for Drake, and I remember thinking like, he's at DO2, he's probably not nervous. Like he's done that many times. I'm doing 5 minutes, and I'm stuck in a small pub, and I'm so nervous. And then I only aimed to get one laugh. I was like, if I get one laugh, I'll be happy. Then I got one laugh, and I got 2 laughs, and I was like, oh my god, this is great.
Crushing.
And then I didn't know how to end it, so I did 3 minutes, and by the end of the 3 minutes, I said, that's all I've got. Thank you.
That's better though. I think get twice what you were looking for and leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I didn't stop thinking about it for like 3 weeks. I was like, I guess I'm a stand-up comedian now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
then,
couldn't sleep after my first gig. I
Okay.
remember I was just like you're just full of this like electricity, and I was staying at a mate's house. I was just lying on a sofa, just looking at the ceiling all night, just being like, and it's like it really,
Yeah.
like, oh, I can do this now.
I've
And
never
what's
felt that
like-
mad ever since.
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's also
we're all
because
just chasing that feeling.
Yeah.
it's like, so I used to do music, and then I played the guitar for 7 years, and my brother's a musician, and I stopped when he was getting better than me, because I was like, well, what's the point? And I also found music theory so boring. I remember being 14, being like, I'm going to be the first guitarist that doesn't know chords.
Gonna change the
Like
game.
that's what I was like, I'm going to go on stage, I'm just going to riff Jimi Hendrix over there. And then
I can see why you're so upset when you found out that stand-ups do the same thing every night. Then
Yeah.
If you're just planning on
It's like,
different-
you see someone who's new and they're just like, they're going up to do the thing and they don't have a watch, and you're like, have you got a set list? And they're like, no, I want to talk to this guy doing this gig up north sometime, and it's just like, I just like work things out on stage. And it was a really rough Friday night, and I said, have you like, how many times have you done this? He was like, this is my like 7th gig, and he was like telling me his theories about stuff. I was like, I really would just write down a list of the things that you're going to say. And then he went out there and it was choppy waters, and he was just and obviously like the fear kicked in, and so his brain couldn't do the things, and it was an absolute disaster. And he came off and said, it really is a good idea just to write a little list.
yeah.
Maybe buy a Casio. And write a
a
list.
little watch there, just
It's amazing that like what people think they can do when they've not really done much. Because there's a guy me and Steve know that gave us one of our first. He just ran his own gig, and we done that as one of our first ones. But then I remember talking to him, and like, he didn't have 5 minutes, and he said, I think I've got probably about an hour, because the thing about me is I'm a master storyteller. We always talk
Yeah.
about like, I'm a master
that's-
storyteller.
I
It's
wonder
just
if
the
it's-
confidence.
I wonder if it's because like when you do your first few gigs, you get one laugh and you're like, and that rush of dopamine and
Yeah.
endorphins that you get makes you feel like,
Absolutely.
It
And then-
feels better than what it is. And
Oh,
also
yeah.
you've got nothing to compare it to either.
yeah. So like And also, like, when you're at that level, you think it's such a big deal for you to go on stage and talk to people that you think, I guess I'm Chris Rock now. But you can see it. And I think with the more you do it, the more I think you realize that it's like, there's so many variables to stand up, because it's how you're feeling on the day, how the audience is, what the room looks like, what they've seen before. There's so many variables that like that you can't feel great about it yourself all the time.
Yeah. Well, a stand-up only exists in that Venn diagram between you and the audience. Yeah. So every day it's the crossover. So it's what they're bringing and what you're bringing, and sometimes that mixes and it's magic, but sometimes it's not, and sometimes it doesn't even come together. And
do you know I've been thinking about this a lot this month.
Why ever?
Okay. So usually in a conversation, if I'm like chatting to you and I realize that you're not enjoying it, I'll stop talking. Yeah. And I'll go, you go and do your own thing. There's been times this month where I'm having a great run, but I've started my show, I'm 5 minutes in, and I can see that someone's not enjoying it. How mad is it that I've got 55 minutes more to go? Like, and not only have I got 55 minutes more to go, but I'm like, you can't leave, because if you leave, you're rude. But I'm the rude one because I'm still talking.
We're all trapped.
I did a gig recently in Reading, which is where my parents live, and I'd come down there. It was for Just a Tonic, and I'd come down there with the family and everything, staying with my parents. I was like, cool, I'll just nip into town, do the gig. And I was opening, did it absolutely fine. And I was just about getting back to my parents' house, and the showrunner called me, and he was like, hey man, the headliner hasn't shown up. He was like, can you come back and close the show? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I turned around and went back to the show. So then, you know, came on for an encore like an hour later, and it went really well, with the exception of one woman who was really, really angry about the whole thing. And so she like booed me at one point, and I was like,
she booed you?
She did. She booed me at the and I said, I said, look, I completely understand where you're coming from, and your reaction is totally fair. You came, you paid for a mixed bill thing. A guy came out for 20 minutes at the beginning, and you were like, this isn't for me. And you were totally polite about it. And they're like, everyone else is having a good time. This is not
completely
for me.
Reasonable.
Yeah. That's like fair play. And then an hour later,
when your guard's at its lowest. There's no way that guy's of all the comedians in the world.
Back he comes. Hey,
from
guys.
her perspective.
And she's been wrong so viciously. And I was like, and I get it. And I was like, but also, the bloke who's supposed to be closing this evening didn't show up because he's an unprofessional twat. And I was supposed to be at home now having dinner with my family and watching television, but I'm back here putting a shift in to try and make sure everyone has a good night. And I think everyone's enjoying it, and I got a cheer from the rest of the crowd, and I was like, so you're actually being an absolute cunt right now.
But also, like, from her perspective, was it 20 minutes at the time? So from her perspective, you came on the 20 minutes. Yeah. Had a great gig, except for her. Walked out. This is you walking out. Yeah. And then you did a Columbo where you went,
one more thing.
One more thing. And then you go, I think I'm going to give it another go, actually.
Well, I actually said to them, I was like, I've been doing this long enough to like know that the earlier gig went well. Yeah. It didn't go well enough to justify an encore. It didn't go well enough to justify an encore an hour later.
And also because she doesn't know stand-up, she thinks you've probably written those new jokes in that hour.
Yes.
Like she imagines you like with an opera in the background, just
that
new bits that she might like.
That thing you were saying about like watching somebody do the same thing twice. Yeah. I took my friend Sarah Trees to see a mixed bill gig in London a few years ago, and Pappies were on. Yeah. And they just, they came out, the three of them, they're just kind of knocking around and stuff, and they don't like Pappies don't like start sketches, they just flow out of this, and it's amazing. And Sarah came out, and it was like she'd seen the second coming of Christ. She just thought it was like beyond incredible. And she's like, oh my God, like, and then a couple of weeks later, she came to see me at some other gig, and Pappy's were on again. Exactly the same seat, right down to like the shoulder knocks and the like, absolutely perfect. And she came out and she just looked horrified. And she was like, even the way that he touched his shoulder was exactly the same. I was like, have you any idea how much practice it takes for three guys to come out and make it look like that fluent? She's like, I just never thought about it before. You're like, oh, I'm really sorry. Just had a little look behind the curtain.
telling a kid Santa's not real.
Yeah.
When
But
your
it's
job is to make it look that easy, that's when it feels like a betrayal, doesn't it?
Like telling my mum that Dylan Moran actually isn't drunk in his first DVD. She's like going, and you can see he's totally leathered. You know, going, Mum, he picks the wine glass up twice, and he only takes one sip in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You were his inspiration, actually.
He had white wine though, so he wasn't getting in on your patch.
It's with stand-up, isn't it? Because like I used to, I'm probably picked that up from Dylan actually, because I used to watch Black Books back in school, and it's weird today. You meet someone that you used to watch. It's like they're breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Like I did a gig with, and I'm doing gigs with him in December, and sometimes you'll see like, the first time someone that you used to watch looks at you back, it's like you feel so perceived.
Especially with someone like off telly or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it often, but I had it with him for the first minute or so of being like, why are you talking to me?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like an out-of-body experience almost, isn't it? This person you've only ever seen through a screen,
and I'm
all
sure,
of a sudden you're having an interaction. And
I'm
you're
sure
like,
you got the same as well from seeing me on the BBC New Comedy.
no.
So it's all.
And I mean, he was telling us the other night that you find that.
I remember the first time I came to the Fringe, I went to. Do you know when you go to Loft Bar for the first time and you think, sorry, am I in LA? Like I guess it's me and Steven Spielberg now. I was sitting in Loft Bar and Eddie Izzard was sitting next to me, and I remember thinking, wow.
another
Anytime
person that can
now.
speak French. Fucking
Yeah.
yes.
I got a text. I've not been in the Loft Bar this year.
I haven't either.
I wish I
Yeah.
could
This is
say the same.
the artist bar, by the way, for
It's
those.
it's like
listening.
talking about class differences. It's so funny that at the Fringe we all go like, I'm just gonna hang out with all the famous people. Is that so? If you guys can stay.
Well,
The funny thing is, it'd be
Fringe
like Eddie
famous
Izzard and then like 6 of the worst open spots you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
There was a
That's
guy.
the
There was a
ratio.
guy. There was a guy a couple of years ago who was running a mixed bill compilation show on the Free Fringe at like lunchtime, and those bars sort of exist to, to separate people like that from people like Eddie Izzard.
It's basically boarding school.
Yeah, it's basically boarding school. Well, that's the point I was making earlier about
The
the
muggles, get them away.
It's get the muggles
Yeah,
out. Well, that's
yeah.
what I'm saying about the class system, which is that's why I haven't been there this year. I found the whole thing distasteful. I go and find a pub in Leith and just keep it real with my boys.
Keep it real. The langers.
Yeah. So this guy used to, so he had his lunchtime compilation show, and his Facebook was a treat. Because every night there would be a post at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh my god, I can't believe Al Murray's doing my show tomorrow at
That's so
12
funny.
at the shit room in the dungeon box around the corner, and it's like 12 o'clock, everyone get there early. And then 2:30 the next afternoon, hey guys, great show today. We had some brilliant energy. I don't know what happened to Al.
That's so
So is he just getting a selfie with these people in the Loft Bar? And
he
then
was clearly just going up to people who were drunk and stuff and just being like, so I've got this show and it'd be amazing. And they just went, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Because this happened like every day to 48 hours.
Brilliant.
There were one of these posters about different person, like Eddie Izzard, Al Murray, all these things. And they never showed up. And the posts were the same. And it's like, dude, stop going up to people you've never met in the Loft Bar, kissed out of your head and being like, can you do my show at 12 o'clock? Like, obviously not. Like, they've earned the right not to have to do
Yeah.
a mixed
Can I tell
film.
you? So me and my friend Patty have started a rumor at the Fringe.
Right.
Just a bit of fun. That J-Lo is here and she's watching shows.
Great.
So the
Let's
rumor
spread
is
that.
that like she like shows up to shows, but she has no idea what the Fringe is, so she's showing up to like mixed bills.
J-Lo's accidentally judging the Amused Moose newcomer competition this year.
Just not the idea.
A couple of years ago, Hugh Grant was trying to get into a show at the Tron, and the security wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
Because like Saturday night.
you're not Prime Minister anymore.
I just love
Maybe
the
you get a
idea of
taxi
like,
back down the road.
I heard a story, I can't remember who told me that, but the first time they came to the Fringe, they got flyered. And they thought it meant you had to go.
The jury duty.
You're it.
So like,
Imagine how much more stressful the Royal Mile would be if that were true.
No wonder no one takes fucking flyers. Like, oh, no.
Be like Running Man, put a
I
helmet
just
on.
love the idea of someone going like, oh no, it's a curse now.
Look at their friend. What did you win? I was like, I've got a Okay.
It's like a prophecy.
I'm going to see Sarah Keyworth at the Pleasant Courtyard. That's absolutely fantastic. What did you get? I've got student improv. Like, oh my God. I'm so sorry. Only one of us could win.
I remember in 2019 I was doing a split bill with a friend called Nick Martinella who moved back to Canada following that Fringe. We had to cancel so many shows. I think we won a record because no one showed up. And on the last few weeks we panicked and started lying as to what was going on in the venue. So we'd be like, Amy Schumer dropping in.
He's like, is it Inky Jones, that guy down in London who's got all those flyers being like, Jimmy
like
Carr's in
Charlotte
here, and yeah.
Well, fucking Roscoe this year made up a rumour that someone was wanking in a show, and ended
But
up
then I told you
Sun.
that happened in the Pleasance in 2018. I've forgotten who. There was a female comic Pleasance
Well,
that
that
actually
someone was
happened
wanking in the Pleasance.
A couple of years ago to a female comic
It's
show.
an
Someone
expensive
other
room, you
than
might as
Jerry
well.
Sadowitz was wanking in the place.
But I said to Roscoe, I was like, that did actually happen a couple of years ago, and he was like, oh, did it? And he was like, oh, I feel bad for making it up.
Like
It did actually happen to someone.
It's such a weird thing to make up that would actually be quite traumatic for someone in a different context.
It would be good though if there was Chinese whispers and it turned out that someone had heard that J-Lo was wanking in Roscoe's show.
That'd be a show, wouldn't it? But that was the thing, like I remember going to music festivals before, like mobile phones, smartphones and things, and you just have like your old Nokia and it just wouldn't work for 3 days. And then people would just start like classic festival rumours. People would be going around and it was all like, this is like, end of the 90s, and people would be starting rumours about celebrities dying. People like, like David Bowie's dead, and everyone like, oh fuck, really? Okay, this has happened. But for 3 days, it would be like, he is now, yeah. He wasn't in 1999, but on those festival weekends, it would be like 2016, the year 2016, but condensed into 3 days of people going, someone's died, and I was like, oh.
Dropping like flies while we were at
There's no way to check a phone and anything.
No, you can't verify anything.
For some reason, when I was at school, the one we always got was I went to school in Kirkcaldy, which is like just over the water, and one of the, someone in Coldplay is like from Kirkcaldy, kind of like the bassist that has family from Kirkcaldy or something. So every year there's a rumour that Coldplay were going to play Starks Park football stadium, which is where Wraith Rovers play, next door to my big shit school. There's no world where they would ever fucking entertain the idea, but like every 6 weeks someone would be like, have you heard the news?
That's nice. So before we get you here, Garrett, I was wanting to speak to you about your time, because you talked about obviously coming to England and doing shows. You have performed outside of Britain as well. Done.
Were you talking about the time I went to
hold on,
Berlin?
I've been
Yes,
gigging in Wales.
of course. Garrett, so you performed on Conan in America and done some gigs over there. Do you want to tell us about that experience?
Go on, Gareth.
So the old boarding school connections that got you in there?
Conan O'Brien is actually an alumni of my school.
I just Slytherin when I see one.
I flashed the tie to him and he was like, and we did the handshake, and then it was all sorted.
Do you know
out.
he's at the Fringe watching shows?
Well,
He goes out with J-Lo.
He did used to have people at the Fringe watching shows, which is how I did it. Because Conan O'Brien is a very good dude, and he was, when he was doing a show, he was employing a whole team of people led by a great guy called JP Buck, who would go around festivals of the world, like just looking for stuff. Conan's producer came and watched me in the Tron, and then we went for a pizza over the road, and that's how that
Hugh
happened.
Grant banging on the door
Yeah.
trying to get on Conan.
Can you get a ticket for Love More Money?
But the business card of Conan O'Brien's producer is the best thing that I've ever got in a bucket.
Oh, brilliant.
That's amazing.
It was literally, he came out, it was like, hey man, we should connect, and then dropped it in, and I was like rifling through money, like chucking money behind me. I was like, it did say that. And I said to my producer, I was just like, why are you throwing all that money on the floor? I was like, I was looking for something.
Did it do
I turned
the,
around to her, I was like,
He's like, God's sake, just because it's Scottish fivers, he's
yeah.
getting
Well, we can't, so we got to spend them all before the end of Monday.
in my head, when you did this, he was like in Zelda when you open a chest and
It
it goes.
was like that. Conan's business card actually glows.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had this whole thing because he was until he stopped, the longest running US talk show host. And he was saying that there was a kind of trend on the Tonight Show and things where they stopped putting stand-ups on. Yeah. And his view on it was like, it was his responsibility, because that was like how comics got their break. It was his responsibility to make sure that the ladder didn't get pulled up. So he dedicated a whole sort of area to doing that. And that was a really important factor for him on his show. So yeah, I was lucky enough to get to do that just just before, like Indiana Jones grabbing the hat and the thing, like just before the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's such a cool thing to do, man.
Yeah, I got asked to do it again, and I had some more gigs, both in America, and then COVID. And then
And see, when you're over as well, though, like, did you, like, because I take it you'd have, like, done, I don't know if you've done it before, but, like, did you, like, do quite a lot of kind of practice gigs in clubs in America and stuff to try and figure out references and things like that?
Sidewalks and stuff like that.
yeah.
Mowing the lawn and sidewalks.
I was in the
LA's Chuckle
bodega.
Dungeon.
I thought bodega was a Spanish restaurant for the longest time.
Was that right?
Yeah, I had to Google it. It's not.
Turns out it's just like a Nisa today or something. It's like one of those.
It's a long
Yeah.
It's a corner shop.
I personally have a policy that Conan is not allowed in my show. I said, don't come, Conan.
Yeah, no, fair enough. You'd notice him if he came. He's like 7 foot tall. Sorry, he has people, but he doesn't do it anymore because he is now. He's retired.
Yeah.
Well, he's podcasting a lot, but he's. I'm interested to see what show he does next. But yeah, I got usefully to do that. I got a 3-year US work visa.
Brilliant.
Got to use it once, and then we had a 2-year pandemic, and then the prep for the Edinburgh Fringe. So I've got like 2 months left on it. So I might try and go out in the time gas.
Absolutely.
Because They you sort of contact the thing and go, because of COVID, can I extend this incredibly expensive piece of paperwork you made me get? And they're like, no.
It's like the rail cards, isn't it?
Yeah.
We all got still angry about it. Rail card expired.
Yeah.
They said you can't get a new one.
Yeah.
I said COVID happened.
Yeah.
I said buy a new one.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
I've lost 2 years of rail cards.
Well, I was trying to lease a car, and they were like, yeah, you can't, and because you haven't got 3 years good accounts. And I was like, yeah, because there was a thing.
Yeah.
And there's that dip there, and then like there's a bit where we all started working again, and everything's fine again. But
it wasn't just living in the woods.
Yeah. It's like, and they're like, yeah. So I was like, so I'll come back like in 18 months' time when I've got 3 years. And they're like, yeah, that would be great. Yeah. I was like, but right now, they're like, no, you can't do it now. You haven't got 3 years good accounts.
That's weird.
And this is just completely inexplicable hole between like March and July of 2020.
Do you think someone didn't realize COVID? Like someone missed out on it?
Forgot about it.
Yeah, forgot. Someone was like, where's everyone?
Well, we had our house renovated when my wife was pregnant. We were just coming up to like the second lockdown.
Aye.
And there's loads of stuff needed doing in the house, and it's like, right, baby's on the way, you got to get this place baby safe. We needed it rewired and stuff, like loads of things doing. And my uncle's a builder, and Sarah's dad's a builder, and helped us do it. So she went to live with her parents for lockdown too, and I lived like Alan Partridge in a travel lodge.
Brilliant.
For the whole of lockdown 2 in a travel lodge where everything was the only place, it was exactly like Partridge, because the only place I could buy food from was a BP garage and you could, like, the restaurant was closed, the bar was closed and everything, and you could, it was mad. It was
And like Partridge, you were also, I used to be on the television.
But builders fascinate me in terms of their attitude. Like builders are really into conspiracy theories, so they really are, because that's the thing. They're just out building stuff, talking to each other all day. They go, I reckon this, and they just get into. So when I was so I was half the time travel agent, then sometimes just sleeping on the floor of our gutted house, and then. So sometimes I was there when they were doing things, and you listen to their conversation, and the shit that they go on about vaccines and stuff. And this guy was like, he was like, "Hey, Garrett, what do you think about the whole vaccine then?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm going to take it." He was like, "Why are you going to take it?" And I was like, "Well, it's the only opportunity for me and my friends to all get back to work." And they went, "We haven't stopped." And he went, "Yeah, but a lot of us have. So if you wouldn't mind." Like not peddling this stuff, but yeah, listening to views on vaccines and stuff from people plastering ceilings and ripping out cabling from walls. You're like going, wow.
But there's a sense of like if someone's like doing something in my house, or like it's a taxi and then they've got morals that I don't agree with, I'll change my morals for the duration of the
I
needed my house to be finished so my wife and new daughter could come back in and I could stop living at a travel lodge. So I wasn't moving to go. That's an interesting opinion, guys.
The second that last tile's in place, we're gonna have a big chat.
I think it's like and then obviously I'll go on Twitter and there's so many people their whole circles are conspiracies.
Yes.
So like my little voice isn't going to change their opinion during the time it takes them to like fix the boiler.
No.
Like I'm not going to change their lives. So I'm just going,
I did a podcast with a conspiracy theorist for, I don't know if you know, Freddie Quinn. Yeah, so Freddie had this podcast where
FQ.
he was...
Starting a new...
Nickname for Freddie.
He's going to start a rumor
he hired
about
me.
him too.
He said they're going to bring me up to FQ.
But yeah, he had this podcast where he was like, it's a comedian and an expert talking about a thing. So I was going up to Liverpool and he was like, do you want to do my podcast? And I said, yeah, sure. I didn't ask what it was or anything. Arrived at the dressing room at Hot Water to find that everybody else had turned him down because the expert that he had got was an MMA fighter who was an anti-vaxxer.
I assume his expertise was in MMA.
The whole thing was about vaccine stuff. They're like, he's an expert on the vaccine stuff. And they go, an expert in it. I mean, he's got a lot to say on it. So I went down to this small, this small podcast studio with this guy like sitting there, and he's like, you know, he's fucking like there, and it was just coming out of like the third or fourth lockdown or whatever. It was like, it's just at that height of the whole, we would like to stuff from those people, and he's like sitting there just like, just right, I'm here, I'm gonna get out what to say. And Freddie's there, and every time I try to like make a joke or something on, because you know it was a comedy podcast, he'd get angry. And then just so it was basically a podcast where it was 2 hours me trying not to get beaten up by this extreme man.
Sounds like good listening.
Oh yeah, I haven't listened to it. Milo McCabe has, and he was just like, yeah, it's interesting. You sound like someone's trying not to get beaten up. But he was so he was into all the classic conspiracy theories about, you know,
all the classics.
All the classics, like, you know,
Pavarotti.
They run the banks, you know, those sort of classics.
Yeah.
Like didn't quite go down there, but
sure.
You know, you're a
Chapping on the door.
Yeah. You're a fly's wing away from very unpleasant stuff. Yeah. So he's like going to me like, you know, they run the banks and they print money and they're doing this, and every time you sort of asked him a question, he'd go, I don't know, but I'm asking the questions, and we go,
that's
yes,
so funny.
But when someone answers a question, you have to also take that like on board. So he was saying to me like, he was like, how they print money and blah blah blah, and they've done this to the economy. And I was like, but if you can print money, why do you want to do this to the economy? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. I was like, but why? And he was like, billions of NHS contracts have been handed out, right?
Billions of contracts?
Yeah.
How much paperwork is...
And he's going, print money, you can clearly print off paper, isn't it?
Well, this is what I said. He was going, and I was like, if you can print money, why do you want an NHS fulfillment contract?
Aye.
Yeah. It was like, you like trying to get PPE to Darlington, like what is... And he was just like, I don't know, but I'm asking the question. And I was just like, that's not a response.
Yeah.
And it's just this whole sort of, he's like, they're doing this, and the key thing with going to him, like, who are they? Don't know exactly. And why are they doing this? And he was like, can't tell you. It was like, if you have not got motivation or even suspect, what the fuck is
what
this?
do you have?
Yeah.
So what you're
No
saying,
content.
Garrett, is you don't trust experts.
Yeah, I do not trust experts. We've had enough of experts, actually, Mark. I think we've all agreed.
But that's like the sneaky thing about conspiracies is that they're being fed those because the algorithm will go, hey, I heard air isn't real.
Yeah.
And then you'll click on that, and then you're like, it's just you're just chasing that little
Whereas with Gary Neville and fried chicken, it's like, you know, it's none of that.
Stay in a safe
You get that in
area.
rap parodies, do you?
Yeah, but there's like little conspiracies, and then there's big conspiracies. There's like we all have, like, growing up, there was always a chicken shop where everyone was like, I think it's pigeon.
Yeah. my mate, honestly, like, they found a dog in the park and they sold it to a takeaway.
Yeah. Like so that's little, because I think you probably get some kind of dopamine hit in your brain when there's like, to explain why people become conspiracists.
Oh yeah.
Because it must be like you're a little expert going, I know more than everybody.
Yeah, they're mini stand-up comics, aren't they?
Yeah.
Getting that little thrill from the joke.
I think that, like,
really.
my take is that, like, obviously I'm not a conspiracist. I do think there's stuff that we don't know, but I don't want to know. Like, I'm just trying to like I'm gonna stay away from it. I don't want to know.
Yeah, and it's just sort of, you specialise in. Everyone's got to have their sort of areas of specialisation where you don't need to know everything.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a nice time. I don't want to know what's going on with the contracts.
And people want to bum you out just constantly with stuff like that.
Yeah, because it makes you look like you know more than you do if you take the contrarian approach.
Yes. The other thing about it is, I think they're actually very hopeful people. Like they've got a lot more faith in humanity than we do, because they honestly believe that everything could be good. There is just some bad men behind the curtain, and if you tear down the curtain and sort the bad man out, everything's fine. And it's go, no, it's unfortunately it's much bleaker than that.
Yeah.
This is just what happens when
This
you
is
put
it,
a load of angry monkeys with opposable thumbs in one place. We'll all just behave like this, and this is it. Sorry, there's no.
It's
curtain.
amazing that
And
this
there's an
is.
explanation for everything as well. Everything all ties together, whereas actually it's just a lot of
chaos.
just chaos.
I think sometimes I'm amazed at how many variables there are to life. Like you look up particles and molecules and everything, and the fact that we're talking in opinions. I think it's amazing that we're not losing it.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like the amount of
Just about holding it together.
there's so much stuff, French stuff.
And I don't fucking understand any of it. I think
Like it's like, and I don't even smoke weed, and I think that like there's so much stuff.
You have that natural French philosophy about you, though. You look at the world.
I guess you could say that.
Whereas British people just look at the world and go, "Yeah, it's awful."
Yeah, I think it's amazing that's why like I'm not religious, because I think this is incredible already. Do you know what I mean? Like this is mad. I mean, not this, but like,
well, thanks for coming on. We are actually not
Running out
to
of time, aren't we?
not to stimulate the theory that we're being
As soon as things
silenced.
get
but-
interesting, we need to shut this down in
That's
case the
it.
Can I do an
man don't
impression
like
of you?
it.
Yes, let's
Okay.
end your impression.
so I've been saving it in my brain.
Brilliant.
A while ago, Mark, when we first met, you did a bit, and when
We
I think
all
of
do
the
that.
Scottish accent, that's what comes up to my mind.
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Hang that you hang things with.
Hey, there it is.
Hey.
And I have achieved my goal of popularising the word thing.
Hang
So there
that
you
you
go.
hang
was all
things
worth it.
with.
Excellent. Brilliant stuff.
Thank you so much for coming on, guys.
Oh, thank you
Thanks
very
for
much
having us.
Appreciate
Have
it.
we got into plug before you go? I know you've got a special on YouTube, Garrett.
I do, yeah. Garrett Millerick live at the Pleasance is available. Excite your algorithms.
Absolutely.
Brilliant
Change
comics,
them
check it
up.
out.
And
I've got a couple 5-minute clips on YouTube.
and just check out like what people like doing sandust and shit on YouTube. Is that what you're
Yeah.
suggesting
I
people
mean,
do?
I'm thinking of giving up and just doing that full time too fast. So,
Brilliant.
but, it's so fun. I'll send some recs.
Stand blasting that is. Guys, well listen, thanks very much for tuning in. As ever, you can like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get those podcasts, and you can follow us at Some Laugh Pod on Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. But until next time, we'll speak to you soon.